Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now we done by Disney, or can Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends. Today I have for you the next expansion, the next part of the story, continuing off of the Fallen Knights of the Fallen Empire, or whatever it was called, or Fallen Knights. I forget names, but the next one is the Eternal Throne. This, takes place basically just, right after what the last one left off. Maybe a little bit of time has passed. But before you get to that, before you get to the expansion, you would watch on the website, on YouTube, wherever you want to look for it, the Betrayal trailer for the Old Republic, which is really great, by the way. See, Valen has been around since the previous expansion, but the trailer we had focused on the two brothers, Archon and Thexan. We didn't even get to know about her, but she was already there by the time of the expansion. So this kind of shows her around the same time as the boys, and kind of what was her story without words, which is really impressive. There's some words in the trailer, but it's mostly, a silent sort of film or lets the visuals explain the story. Most of it you would watch before. You can watch the whole thing, but at the very end, it kind of cuts to black for a second, and then the mother's in darkness, and she ends up having a confrontation with her former daughter, now a monster. There's a short story by my boy Drew Karpyshyn, called A Mother's Hope, and that takes place basically during that last end of the trailer. Which is just a little short story. It happens after the events of the last game, so Senya is leaving with Archon, and she's trying to, just stay safe and everything and help heal him. And then she ends up seeing her daughter, and it's a confrontation. Boom, that's it. And then we get to the Eternal Throne expansion. So basically, the big baddie of this expansion, well, there's the main one that I always knew was a big baddie, no matter how charismatic he was, and who we see for most of the game. Archon is now injured, seemingly to become a good guy now, maybe, with the help of Senya. Valkorion is stuck, or not stuck, according to him, in, the Outlander's mind. But the physical threat we have right now is Valen. Valen, who is still around. Valen, who can still be a threat. And so it's up to the alliance of Jedi and Sith and Zakuul people to take her down. And that is basically it for the non-spoilers as to what goes on in this part of the series. But it's overall really, really good. I quite enjoyed the ending. I enjoyed that the story of redemption exists for some, but not for others. Because as Joker, even though it's not the best portrayal of Joker, but I still enjoy that movie. Some people just want to watch the world burn. So, yeah, it was really good. The only thing that I didn't really mention in the last video, but the only thing that's a real big issue is the fact that your companions from the base game do not have any appearance in this expansion. This is such a galaxy, conflict. You would think that they would be somewhere, but they're not, which is the only disappointing thing. But if you're ignoring that, as far as I understand it, they do pop back up again later, luckily. So hopefully it doesn't upset people too much. In hindsight, I can understand at the time thinking that, am I never going to see these characters again? Like Scourge and Kira and the doctor guy and the other HK character. But yeah, overall. Also, by the end, some stuff happens. I would have liked to see certain characters make an appearance, but they didn't. But I'll talk about that in spoilers. Other than that, really fantastic. I would go more in detail, but I'd be in spoiler territory at that point. If you have not played it, I especially if you played as a Jedi Knight, because I hear there are other storylines that are more engaging the whole way through. Jedi Knight was not one of them. Not really. And it was, I wanted to put down the videos because I didn't play the game because I'm not really into MMOs and I just don't have the time right now. If you do have the time and you like MMOs, you should play it. You should give it a shot. But if you don't have the time but you do want to know the story, you can always find, like, there's this channel called Little Playground or something like that, which just uploads important scenes, conversations, and only leaves in gameplay that's completely relevant to the, like, very essential story. All right, so if you are about to fight a boss and then there's going to be a cutscene with that boss, you'll get to see a bit of that, whereas you won't see any of the side quests or any of the, stuff that's not important. So that's what I watched. But the story was really good. I enjoyed it. It is, it may not be the best of writing in terms of, we had KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2, which were KOTOR 2 is probably the best written Star Wars game. But regardless of that, it's still really fun and feels like Star Wars. So I really enjoyed it. And I think it's worth your time to at least, I think if you're a Star Wars fan, Matt Wilkins, and you haven't seen anything on this, a Wikipedia page does not do it justice. You should experience it for yourself. Just watch the Jedi Knight class storyline like I did or something, or watch the Sith class. I don't care, but get to see this story in some way, shape, or form. These characters deserve some attention and love. Theron had like one novel and a comic series to him, but he's in all these expansions, and I love him all the same for it. And I love The Outlander, despite the fact that it's supposed to be you. I didn't watch it as me. I was watching somebody else play, but I still enjoyed The Outlander. Like a really stuck hard Jedi, except for certain things that he chooses to ignore, like with the love stuff. I loved Emperor Valkorion far more than I did Vitiate. I mean, I know they're the same person, but there was so much more personality, so much more intimidating factors about Valkorion, even though he doesn't really do anything in these expansions. Just something about him, like he just has a better presence than Vitiate ever did. So I really appreciated that. But other than that, guys, that is it. If you don't want spoilers, now it's time for you to go. If you don't care about spoilers, you've played the game already, or whatever, come on and join me. I don't have too much to talk about, but I do have some things to say. So one of the biggest things with Vaylin always was that she's super duper powerful in the Force. So look at it this way. You know how people rag on Starkiller, right, for being super duper powerful? Well, that's the video game, and the video games are never as canon as novels. Now, here's the thing, though. We don't have any novels for this part of the Old Republic timeline, right? Because this stuff happened after the Disney buyout, but they allowed them to continue making it. So we don't have any Legends novels to give us a definitive version of this. So we have to kind of accept what the video game gives us. And it is canon to Legends. And so basically, Starkiller isn't actually as powerful as it seems like, because if you read the novel, you find out he's not as strong. Or like when the ship came crashing down, it was already crashing. He just kind of directed it, which is still powerful, but he's also the apprentice of Darth Vader. So I'd imagine he'd be kind of powerful, but he didn't like direct it out of the sky and just bring it down in perfect condition. No, it was already, kind of down. So it was already kind of coming down. He just brought it, to a specific spot. But with Vaylin, she actually has the potential to be that powerful. And the only reason she's not at that full capacity is because the Dragon of Zakul himself, Emperor Valkorion, has been stopping that. that changes later on in the game, though. I mean, it doesn't look like it because the graphics aren't that great, and it looks kind of janky. But she is supposed to be very, very powerful. Scorpio, which was the Vong's worst nightmare, gets Ikoth, which is a planet that they get stuck on for a bit during the expansion. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to freaking take over the world, man. Like, I just want to live here. Is that okay with you? And you could either be a dark side user and be like, the Vong are wrong about a lot of things, but they're right here and slice her down. Or you can be like, fine, you can live here, just never bother me again, or you'll face my full wrath. And those are kind of like your two options. So she ends up leaving you alone from then on forward. And redemption. The story in all of Star Wars is redemption. Redemption. Vader has it. Others have it. Jason never had it. But, in a sense, in those last moments, he kind of did. But not fully. Abeloth certainly didn't. But Archon killed his own brother. Killed billions during the war. Of course, we didn't get to really see that, but that's what's told to us. And yet, he can be forgiven. He can be saved. Christian message, even though I know that's not what they intended, but that's still the case. The very idea of redemption is a very Christ-like, very Western sort of thing. So I appreciated that. But it's also just really cool to have, someone who was previously your antagonist, who was shown to be kind of antagonistic in the trailer for the game, fight by your side. So he becomes an ally from then on forward in the game. This is an interesting part. Vaylin goes to the place where she was conditioned by her father to get rid of the conditioning so she could be at her full limits, to be not constrained by her father any longer. You are down there as well. The Outlander is. And when you are down there, you come upon a holocron. And you meet Valkorian's father. Or should I say Vitiate? Or should I say Tenebrae? All different names, many different lives, but all one man. His father's spirit essence was somehow kept in a holocron, so that Valkorian could continue to torture him forever. But if you're playing as a Jedi Knight and you choose the light side path, you set his father free to finally rest in peace. But that's very interesting. I mean, we knew that he had an original form. It might have said that in the Revan novel, I don't remember, but his original name is Tenebra when he was a full Sith. And of course, Vaylin gets free by the end of it, not constrained anymore by her father. There's a big confrontation on Odessen. And the hero Outlander's trying to get there in time. And Vaylin seems to give in. She's like, fine, I'll fight you. Brings a Mando that we met in the last expansion, who's actually a pretty cool guy. Like, he's not like super duper memorable, but like every time I saw him, it's like, he's a very likable dude. And brought him over to the Outlander only so that right in front of him she could snap his neck. So goodbye, Mando. I don't remember his name. And goodbye, Vaylin. Because by the end of this battle, Vaylin will come to an end. And, as I always suspected from the very beginning of the last expansion, I called it so freaking hard, but I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything because I knew I would be vindicated. I mean, I'm sure everybody probably figured this out because it's not rocket science, but oh my gosh, I freaking knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Valkorion tries to take over the Outlander. This whole final section of the game, I loved it. So, they've done it. They defeated Valen. Archon is a good guy now. Now, the Eternal Fleet doesn't know what to do. They're attacking people at random? That's kind of weird. Why would you do that if you don't know what to do? Wouldn't you just stand by or surrender? Why would you attack if you don't know what to do? That doesn't seem like so cool, but whatever. You do you. So you go to sit on the throne. The Outlander does. And what happens? Electricity sparks through you, does like a pylon thing and a thing, and then the fleets cease to attack. And by the way, throughout both these expansions, ever since you stabbed Valkorion in the back, finally killing that body, that old man's body, that, Tenebrae was inhabiting, what does he do? He says, fine, so be it, or whatever he says, and puts his essence into the Outlander, right? And then throughout the entire game, he's talking to you, saying, you should do this, you should do that. He's trying to help you because he wants his son off the throne, and he wants his daughter off the throne, because only he can be the immortal emperor. And so, you get on that throne, and he tries to take you over. He comes back out to talk to you, as he's been doing for so many times, but this time he's like, no, you're going away. I'm taking control. And I will live through you now and continue on as the immortal emperor. And then you have this kind of like Mind Palace battle, where you have Archon show up, where you have Valen show back up, where you have Senia show up, and you all attack him and kill him because the Outlander's will was too strong for him. The one person. And so Valkorion Vitiate Tenebra is seemingly dead. Whether or not he's fully dead or not is yet to be seen. But that entire ending was really fun. And I enjoyed when he was like, gods have no family, or whatever he said. And I just really enjoyed it. The thing that I mentioned earlier, where I would have liked to see, some people show up. I would have liked to see Thexan show up. Because, he got killed by his brother, which isn't necessarily exactly what Valkorion wanted. But he wasn't going to be satisfied with them until they proved their worth or whatever. And so I felt like he could have gotten some justice in that scenario, like as a Force Ghost or whatever. But I guess it wouldn't make that much sense because even though he was one of the kinder people of the family, he was still a dark side user. Or at least more aggressive with everything. I don't know. And then Revan. Revan suffered for 300 years. What about Lord Scourge, forced to work as his Emperor's Wrath? And they got to experience none of that. Again, future expansions. That might change. Not sure. But that's where things end with this expansion. With now 3 separate factions. Because now we still have the alliance with the Sith, well, at least some Sith, and some Republic / Jedi. And then you also still have just the Republic in general, and the Jedi and the Sith. And of course, the Sith are just going to go back to their old ways. So as soon as this bigger threat is over, they're going back on the Jedi. So that's a whole thing, which we'll talk about more later. But that's where things end here, and I thought it was very satisfying. It felt like a very movie ending. I know that I know for a fact that these, this entire MMO is not as well written as like KOTOR 2 or even KOTOR 1. But I still enjoy it. I still think it's a lot of fun. It still definitely feels like Star Wars to me. And I think Valkorion is a wonderful bad guy. A different bad guy. But still great. And I enjoy listening to him talk. Like, he's just fun to listen to. But we're inching ever and ever closer to the prequel era, which will be interesting when I finally go through everything the prequel era has to offer for once. And I hope you'll continue to join me as I go through my journey through the entire expanding universe. I'm going to steal this from Matt Wilkins as best I know how. And I hope you all join me in that adventure and join me as I explore new things, and maybe you'll find some new things along this journey, or maybe you'll, just be like, yo, I remember that book. Let me tell you what I thought about it or whatever. I don't know. But I've been enjoying talking all this stuff with you. I'm glad that I have a few videos that differentiate from Matt Wilkins, since he decides to not touch video games or watch them. So I can have a unique video that, I mean, this is not unique. Other people have talked about this game, but Matt Wilkins, he's gone through the entire expanding universe, but he hasn't because he doesn't play the games, so he has not gone through the entire expanding universe. That's going to be me by the time I finish this series, and then I'll be the champion. He's got nothing on me. Who's he think he is? He's nobody. Oh yeah, I'm going to win. Anyway, I'm being stupid, so I'm going to leave it here, guys, but I hope you have a great day, or a great night, or whatever time it is for you when you watch this video, and I'll see you in the next expanding universe video. Till then, may the Force be with you.